We'll give him half a second to connect. And I will open the public meeting of the North Reading Zoning Board of Appeals for, where are we? For the 16th, February 16th. We have a continuation of a hearing for 3 Linwood Ave. I'm just going to read the hearing notice. The continued virtual public hearing will be held by teleconference on Thursday, February 16th, 2023 at 7 p.m. on the petition of Jeffrey Gannon, 3 Linwood Ave, North Reading, MA, map 4, parcel 97 for a special permit to raise chickens. The petitioner is also requesting a variance for the setback of the chicken coop. And then we have an email from Board of Health Commissioner Bob Bracy. And if I am reading this correctly, Mr. Gannon requested an administrative determination of applicability in accordance with the North Reading health rules and regs. And Mr. Bracy said after reviewing the request to meet code compliance with all local, state, and federal animal regulation, the health department believes the intent to meet the same degree of public health environmental protection can be maintained and achieved at 3 Linwood Ave, North Reading. So we have that in the file. We have a number of diagrams and sketches, as well as some correspondence from neighbors. Do we have is Mr. Gannon, is he here with us this evening?
Yes, I am.
Beautiful, good, because after all that, if you weren't able would you just give us a quick update? Well, you were here last month. You wanted to put in a chicken coop and looking for a variance from the setbacks, and our building commissioner sent you off to see Board of Health to see if they were even going to consider having this be so close to the lot lines. What found you?
Right. So I spoke with Mr. Bracy, both on the phone and through email correspondence. Mrs. Morgan helped out as well with that. And essentially I created the diagram that you have up on the screen right now. He was asking about proximity to homes, lot lines, septic, and wells for water, if there were any. And I stated a similar case that I stated to the board last month on the location of the coop and why we want to put it there, whether it's trees in the yard or a big swing set that we don't want to move, or our neighbors' homes. You know, they're really close to us on the north and south of the page. And as you can see, I submitted for a determination that, as you just read, he said seems to meet the intent of the code for what we're trying to do here at our house.
Fantastic. And it looks like we had a letter from one of the abutters, the folks at 68 Southwick, who are in support because this is as far away from their house, essentially on your lot, as you can get. Did we have anything from the folks at 1 Linwood? They're the other close folks, and I know they have a pool right in their backyard.
I didn't get anything.
What they noticed.
You get the green card?
Yes, they got the formal abutters letter via mail. We've talked to them a couple times about it, most recently to find out where their septic was in order to create that diagram for Mr. Bracy.
What did they say in those conversations?
One my wife had with a gentleman, George. It was pretty casual from my understanding. There was no, big excitement or big scare. And then I spoke with his wife about a week and a half ago, and she was excited to get some eggs. That was about it. We haven't gone to lengths, and yeah, they were questioning why I had to get so much information from them. So I explained it. And that was about it.
And reminds me, I can't remember from last time, are the chickens always going to be contained within the run, or are they free range? What's the?
Well, this will be our first time having chickens, so the intent is to keep them in the contained run, at least for a while, and then if we get comfortable, we probably would let them out in the yard for, you know, an hour at a time while we're there. There's no intent to sort of open the gate at 8 a.m. and hope they find their way back. It would be, if they're ever let out of the run, it would be when we're there with them.
Is there, Kathy, do we have anyone in the attending
I don't see
on
anybody,
this?
no.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Can you hear me? I don't see anybody, no.
Okay. Board members, Michelle, do you have any, Bob, any questions for the applicant?
I don't know.
No, I think it's been fairly, and to his credit, it's been very well approached by, especially the outreach to Mr. Bracy in particular.
Much
And again,
appreciated.
the fact that he's bordering basically the conservation property, making it all but unbuildable there, so it's not going to in any way impact the note made by building inspector Noel with regard to setback from of 25 feet from a residence on adjacent lots. I think that addresses that. And again, while in a perfect situation, the 25-foot setback would be, or the 4 foot, while it isn't always consistent in this case, the showing the intent in the presentation by the applicant seems to be with merit for the purpose.
So I would point out to Bob, his abutter at 1 Linwood is.
Right, so that is,
They're
the
the
shed is already
closest
there. Right.
to that
The
corner
actual.
where it is. I do appreciate that the coop is a little bit, on the other side of your shed, your existing shed, so it gives a little more buffer there. On that side, I'm just
Yeah, that's part of the intent, is where it is not only best for our purposes on our lot, but it's behind the shed for 1 Linwood. It's as far away as possible from 70, and 68 can't even expand back there if they wanted to, because it's in the 100-foot buffer, and their house is new and it's up towards the front. So yeah, I mean, it seems to make sense for multiple reasons. And we have a fence on 3 sides that's 6 feet tall, and there's a small portion that's 4 feet. So
sounds good to me. I will ask, you're asking for 4 feet off the lot line, off the fence line. Can you move it to 5 feet? Does that work?
I think so. Yeah, we were looking at a specific coop, and there's like a tree right next to the shed, and it would just get a little tighter, but we could probably finagle something if 5 feet is what the board requested. I think we could do that. The issue is, if I go 10 feet or more, it's not only that, but then it's the size of the coop too.
Mhm.
And we only have so much room sort of in the back of our lot
Right.
before it like goes in the middle of the yard, essentially, which we wouldn't do. So
Fair.
yeah, 4 feet was what worked out with the dimensions I was looking at. And if it's 5 feet, I think we'd try and make that work.
Okay. Just asking, don't know that we need to require that. I know we always get very sensitive when it's something super close to a lot line, just because you want to make sure if the folks on the other side did the same thing, that there's enough of a passageway to get both as a fire block and to be able to get in between the two. So I like seeing them at least 5 if we can.
Just again, it was the, so you've got the diagram that shows the 20-foot run of length of the spacing from one Linwood to the beginning of the coop as it would move. Just out of curiosity, did the neighbor at one Linwood, was that explained and expressed to them?
The 20-foot, I'm
The
sorry,
20, so I'm seeing a drawing of 25 feet from one Linwood.
25, right?
Yeah, and I'm just, that again, consistency with what Mr. Knoll pointed out, but I just wanted to be sure that they were made aware of that, because if that's the, the length of acknowledgement, then if this drawing and construction stays consistent with the construction stays consistent with the drawing, then that's satisfied. I just wanted an understanding, since one Linwood isn't present or
Oh.
hasn't, that they've been
Yeah,
told of that just for their own
we've
benefit.
told them it's basically going behind our shed, like where we have a garden currently, and they know where that is.
Yeah, I see you have the raised bed there.
Yeah.
I think it sounds great. That looks good to me. Anything else, guys?
I'd like to move to close the public hearing on this.
Seconded.
Beautiful. All right. All in favor? Bob,
Looking to see, I know that at our last meeting, we had a proposed,
I can jump in.
thank you, Michelle.
I guess one last question. I didn't see anything, the Board of Health, a recommended number of chickens, and is there a standard that this board typically recommends?
Usually do 8. 8, no
Okay.
roosters.
Okay,
That work, Jeff?
Yeah, so I think the state has a law, if you go over 6, you have to get some special approval. We're gonna be 6 or less, and no roosters, so.
okay. Then I move to grant a special permit for up to 6 chickens, no roosters, to be permitted. The permit is subject to Board of Health approval and oversight.
Lovely. We have a second, Bob?
Are you gonna
Second, Bob Breen.
add the variance in there, or make it a separate motion? Are you gonna add the variance in there, or do it under a special?
Oh, yes,
I
we
was
will
gonna-
need to.
Okay,
Separate?
So we can amend that motion to add a variance or to allow a 15-foot variance from the side property line for a coop in accordance with essentially in accordance with the diagrams prepared by the applicant. If I can make that amendment to your motion, Michelle.
sure. I was gonna do 2 separate, but sure. There you go.
As you wish. It all
no.
works. We're so flexible. It's all good. All right, so that's the amended motion. Do we have a second from Bob?
Second on the motion. Thank you.
Great, and since we're Zoom, we just need to do verbal roll counts. All in favor, Bob
Bob Breen, aye.
Michelle
Michelle.
Bodie, aye.
and Jennifer Pratt. Aye, all right. Congratulations, Jeff. I'm glad. Thank you for working through the
Yeah,
process.
thanks for your patience.
Absolutely. We wish you the best of luck with your new flock.
Thank you, and thanks to Kathy for help along the way. Appreciate it.
Kathy's the best. She is so good. I'm glad we have her there as the face of our department and our board. So 20-day appeal period, and then you have it. You should record the variance on and with the Registry of Deeds, just because, so that's, you have it in perpetuity.
Okay, yeah, and I have to go back to the Board of Health one more time anyway, so.
All
Great,
right,
thank you.
that's great. Have a great night. Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck.
Luck.
Right. Moving right along. almost right along. I'm looking for the hearing notice.
I didn't do a hearing notice.
All right, well, we have a request from the owner of 11 Kings Row for an extension on a variance which was granted approximately a year ago. This was Christopher and Renee Bond. Do we have Mr. and Mrs. Bond with us this evening? Yes, I see C. Bond. That's got to be you.
How you doing? Yeah, Chris is here. How you doing, guys?
Doing great. We have your letter to the file. This was a tough year for many of us.
Oh. Yeah, it was a learning curve for a lot, and I think that just the natural occurrences of everything that's going on is just they're snowballing and affecting everything that I think nobody's seen for. So yeah, it's quite a busy year.
And we had previously granted a variance from the setback for a proposed garage addition. Under statute, we can give you a 6-month extension for valid cause, which based on your letter to the board with issues with contractors and the like, seems reasonable to me, but I am but one vote. So we'll.
Yeah, 6 months should be fine. I mean, we got basically everything going on. We're in a good path. It just the timeline. It kind of, we looked at the month it was like, wow, it's already creeping up. So I think 6 months should be fine.
Right. Michelle, any questions, concerns?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Right. Might we have a motion to grant an 6-month extension of an existing variance?
With the close of the public hearing or on this matter, I'd like to make a motion to grant to the applicants Christopher and Renee Bond extension of no more than 6 months for the variance granted by our board on March 10th, 2022, with regard to the property located at 11 Kings Row, North Reading.
Lovely. Do we have a second?
Seconded.
Thank you. All in favor?
Bob Green, aye.
Michelle Bodie, aye.
Jennifer Platt, aye. And just so you know, I don't think we have the authority under statute to grant a second extension. We'll double check.
Okay.
But I just want to give you the heads up on that. So
Yeah, so I guess my next question is if things go sideways and we ended up back to the drawing board, do you go through the whole process of, I guess, requesting a variance and then sending out the abutters list and all that? Okay.
right. So get a shovel in the ground.
Yeah, right. No, absolutely. Okay.
If you can, if not,
Appreciate it.
I know the statute specifically says 6 months. So that kind of ties our hands a bit.
Okay, yeah, sure. I appreciate it. Yeah.
Dan,
All right.
I have a quick question.
Of course.
Is he gonna need to record this extension also, or no? We're gonna have to do another motion, notice of decision?
I think we should have a written decision granting a 6-month extension. And then they can, I'm not sure offhand on whether or not that has to be recorded, but at least you would have an option of recording it, and you want to have the written determination. So building inspector, you can show that as well when you're pulling your permits that you've gotten your extension. Just talking through it, it sounds like it's something you probably would want to have a written decision. So Kathy, we should.
Okay.
It's just simple, but based on I'll
draft something up.
you draft it, we'll look at it, and we'll just basically, I want to parrot the statutory language that based on a written application, for good cause, the board granted a 6-month extension to the existing variance, something like that.
Okay,
All right. All
And
right. Chris?
Jennifer, that's 6 months from the original date, like of March 10th would be 6 months from that
Yeah,
date.
6 months from, we'll give you
Okay.
6 months from when it would expire, not from today. So you get your full, you'll
Okay.
get 18 months. Gives you a little window.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah, it gives you period of time to exercise your rights not to exceed 6 months. Okay. All right. Now we're gonna do it again. All right, Chris, thank you. So we also have a request for an extension to a variance for 33 Anthony Road, Mr. Robert Wood applicant, where similarly, about a year ago, they got a variance for a 2-car garage addition. And I saw your letter to the file, Mr. Wood. I hope things are going all right with your wife and father and all. There seems like there's been a lot going on in your family life over this past year.
Yes.
All right, so I'll tell you. So again, I mean, you just heard our prior hearing. I know there's been a lot going on in terms of dealing with contractors and as well as health issues for many of us over the past year. I have no problem giving a 6-month extension, which is what we're allowed to do. Again, as you heard to the prior applicant, you got to get a shovel in the ground in 6 months, or it does unfortunately trigger the process all over again.
Yeah, we figured we would have already had it started, but it's been, you know, contractor after contractor is just, they just don't get back to you. So I think we've had 8 or 9 contractors visit the house, and we've only had one quote come back, and it was way more than we expected from a budgeting. So you know, we've already kind of been pre-approved from the bank for, you know, construction loans. So that part and financing is done. It's just actually finding somebody who can do the work at, you know, at the rate that we can afford.
Yeah, the materials prices have just skyrocketed over COVID. I mean, we're seeing that across the board. So hopefully you can find someone who can undertake your project.
Yeah.
Board, anything?
No,
No.
I mean, it seems pretty, I remember the hearing and the application originally granted. So I'm all, I have no problem with the extension request.
Yeah. I mean, it looked like a great, a great project. I hope you can find someone to do it. Again.
Yeah, we had the first contractor in, you know, mid-June. And, you know, we've had, you know, multiple since June and continuing, and, you know, all throughout the summer, and, you know, literally just no one would get back to us.
Jeez,
So,
yeah.
and we're chasing people down, asking them to work, and it's just, it's like, all right, here's the quote. And I'm like, I can build a house for what you're asking. You
It's
know,
a
never mind,
garage,
just,
please.
yeah, it's exactly. I mean, it's, you know, it's an addition, but I get it. But I'm like, you know, I have friends and colleagues that are, you know, actually building from the ground up, and, you know, they're like, no, we've gotten kind of quotes, you know, almost to build an entire house for what, you know, we got from one contractor.
Ouch.
So, yeah.
Ah.
$400 a square foot was a little bit steep.
Mm.
Yeah.
So
All
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing on the extension request.
Let's do that. Michelle, you want to second that?
A second.
Second. All right. Let's.
I'd like to make a motion with regard to the petition, the request for extension by the petitioner, Robert Wood, with regard to the grant for variance to the applicant party by this board on January 13th, 2022, that we grant an extension for purposes of the construction to exceed to exceed a period of no greater than 6 months from I believe it would probably, is it six? I apologize. Is it 6 months from
The
the
date
date
of
of-
the,
so
Permit, or the
6 months from
variance.
the date of permit, which again was January 13th, 20, strike that. Would be 6 months from tonight. It's an
I think
interesting
it would be
question.
6 months from the date it was stamped in, wouldn't it? Because that's when the 20-day appeal starts.
that makes sense, Kathy. I like that.
I
So,
think that gets them in.
so we will figure that out when we write up our decision, but we'll give you 6 months from when that was.
Well, hopefully I have a shovel in the ground before then, so.
Perfect.
We'll make that happen.
So I think we need a second.
I
and vote on
second,
it.
yep, second the motion.
I think you're right, and let's just officially vote it to it.
Bob Breen, aye.
Michelle Bodie and I.
Jennifer Platt, aye. That's great. So we'll write that up. We'll get it to you for your file, but you're set for an additional 6 months. Hopefully you can find someone who will build it and at a price, at a reasonable price.
Yes, I appreciate it. Thank you guys for your time.
Absolutely.
Luck with that.
Thank you. Have a good night.
All right, have a
Bye.
good night. We have, let's see, oh man, I thought we were gonna be done within 30 minutes, but we're 1 minute over. We have two sets of minutes. They look fine to me. I'd like to make a motion to approve those. Do I have a second?
With regard, upon review of the minutes from our meeting of November 10th, 2022, I move the board accept the minutes as presented and put formally on record.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Bob Breen, aye.
Michelle Bodie and I.
Jennifer Platt, aye. All right, one more.
And with regard to the minutes from the zoning board of appeals meeting dated January 12th, 2023, after review of the minutes and having been present at the meeting, I vote that the board tonight accept the meetings as presented and put them formally on record.
And I had mentioned one thing earlier to Kathy. There was one phrase at the end of the minutes on 142 Main Street. It referred to pictures of tar and gravel on site, and we're just going to have asked her to change that to storage of sand and tar and gravel on site. So as with that change, I will second your motion, and all in favor.
Bob Breen, aye.
Michelle,
Michelle Bodie and I.
Jennifer Platt, aye. All right. That is it. Thank you, guys.
So just to from our next meeting date,
Yes, pulling up the calendar. And to that generally would be March 9th. I'm not seeing a conflict on mine at the moment. Anyone?
I'm fine.
that's fine with me as well.
Right, let's book that, Kathy, for March 9th.
Okay,
And then and we'll see what, if anything, we have next month. Thank you both for coming this
So,
evening.
One last thing with regard to that is also the week that the town has the special town meeting. There's a special town meeting matter dated March 6th, just for purposes, but it shouldn't conflict with the March 9th meeting for us. Just
What
wanted
is
to.
the,
What's on town meeting?
yeah, what's
Uh,
going on?
At this week, there was this motion with regard to, as I believe, to
petition.
revoke the betterment powers that were granted to the town selectmen. But I know that, like I said, I'm just looking at that week on my calendar, and I had put it in as March 6th. So just a
Okay.
point of interest.
All right, well, it could be an exciting week in town politics.
Isn't it always?
It has, Michelle, you're so right. It
I
always
noticed.
is. Another exciting week in North Reading town
Yeah.
politics. All right, I promise to get you guys out of here quickly. It is great to see you both. Thank you both for coming.
Thank you, Madam
You
Chair.
want to share?
Thank you, Michelle.
Okay.
And thank you, Kathy.
Thank you, Kathy, as always, for getting this.
Coming.
All right. We will see you in a month. Have a great one.
Thank you. Have a good evening, guys. Thank
Night.
you.
Thanks. Night.